More louder.
All right, let's call our meeting to order. Let's all stand in normal silence. I'd like to ask Councilman Lancaster for reading the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor
Pressgraves.
Here.
Mr. Vickers.
Here.
Mr. Altmeyer.
Here.
Mr. Shiro.
Here.
Mr. Lancaster. Here. Mr. Sowers.
Here.
Ms. Pence. Here.
Let me read this continuity document. This meeting of the town council is being held pursuant to the April 13, 2020 ordinance for continuity of government of Luray. The town clerk will read the names and the council members present and identify those who are electronically present. The town manager, Steve Burke, is responsible for receiving public comments in advance of the meeting, which may be submitted by mail, email, phone, or hand delivered by 5 p.m. on the day of the meeting. In-person attendance and comments by the public is also permitted, subject to the limitations of the most recent executive order and phasing guidelines issued by Governor Northam. This meeting can be reviewed live on the town's Facebook page, and a recording will be available on the town's YouTube channel. Minutes from the meeting will be posted on the town's website after being approved by town council. Everybody has your consent agenda in front of you, and I'm sure you've read it. What's your wishes?
Well, Mayor, I move that we approve the following consent agenda. Minutes of the regular council meeting on June 9th, 2020, minutes of the council work session, June 23rd, 2020, and accounts payable checks totaling $352,395.71.
Motion?
Second.
Second discussion? And now would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Vickers.
Yes.
Mr. Altmeyer.
Yes.
Mr. Shiro.
Yes.
Mr. Lancaster.
Yes.
Mr. Sowers.
Yes.
Ms. Pence. Yes.
Don't have anybody sign up for citizens' comment period without them. Okay, we're going to go right into the presentation. West Luray Recreation Center, Mr. Tim Brookie.
That's Audrey, actually.
Okay, come up, state your name and address. Tell us what's on your mind.
Audrey King, 1 Georgia Street, Luray.
Thank you.
Good evening to everybody. Thank y'all for allowing us this time. We do have a presentation. If you have it, I'd like to put it on and show you the updates and the progress that we've made with the Recreation Center as it pertains to the youth of this community. long way, close to $100,000 into this project, and we're now at a place where we're getting ready to open. The first phase of us opening due to COVID is going to be a tutoring program that we do once a week. We have tutors and teachers that are volunteer, and we have a test group of 10 at-risk children that we're going to be beginning with in August. Other than that, we have a mentorship that begins in January. We have a feeding program through our kitchen, which through a $13,000 Blue Ridge Food Bank grant, we received our kitchen material to feed over 100 kids a week. What we're asking for from the town is consideration of any block grants, any historic monies that would come up, anything as far as the initiative for Main Street, as we are on West Main Street, right above the men's room, and any support that we could have from the town going forward financially, and we would definitely keep you all updated and in the loop of things as we continue to try to work on mentoring, growing, and developing the youth of Luray. Thank you.
Thank you. Luray Downtown Initiative, Ms. Dees?
She couldn't make it this evening.
Couldn't make it. Okay, public hearing, special use permit for Canyon Street. Mr. Burke?
Yes, sir. Tonight there are two public hearings scheduled for Town Council. The first one is on Canyon Street. It's a request for a special use permit to use the existing structure as a residential long-term dwelling home. It's located in the B1 district and was constructed after October 1977 when the town adopted our code. So it does require a special use permit to consider use as a residence. And we received a couple of comments from folks that received the notice. Basically, they were in favor of it.
No, nobody opposed it?
No, sir.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Burke? Hearing none, I'll open the public hearing. Anybody want to speak for or against it or whatever? Hearing none, I close the public hearing. Council, please record.
Mayor, I move that the town council approve the special use permit for use of 4 Canyon Street as a residential, single-family dwelling, the B1 business district as presented.
Second motion? Second. Second. Discussion? Danielle, do you call the roll, please?
Mr. Dolphin.
Yes.
Mr. Sherrill.
Yes.
Mr. Lancaster.
Yes.
Mr. Sowers.
Yes.
Ms. Pence. Yes. Mr. Vickers.
Yes.
Special use permit 20-2516 4th Street. Mr. Burke?
Yes, sir. The second special use permit request is to install a manufactured home in the R4 high-density residential district. Again, this type of home does require a special use permit. The Planning Commission conducted a public hearing and received no comments. And the only comment that we received from a resident was in favor of the installation.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Burke? Hearing none, I'll open the special use permit hearing, public hearing. Hearing none, I close it. Council, it's your court.
I move that the town council approve the special use permit for the installation of a manufactured home at 516 4th Street as residential single-family dwelling in the R4 high-density residential district as presented.
Motion,
Second.
discussion. Danielle, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Sherrill.
Yes.
Mr. Lancaster.
Yes.
Mr. Sowers.
Yes.
Ms. Pence. Yes. Mr. Vickers.
Yes.
Mr. Dolphin.
Yes.
Okay, action and discussion items. Code of Virginia readoption ordinance, Mr. Burke.
Yes, sir. This is a request from our town attorney to adopt an ordinance that readopts all of the newly passed General Assembly changes to the Code of Virginia that took effect July 1 of this year. It's basic housekeeping. And we're not aware of any challenging ordinances that would have been adopted by the General Assembly this year.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Burke? If not, what would council like to say?
I move that council adopt the ordinance readopting portions of the Code of Virginia as presented.
Have a motion?
Seconded.
Second, discussion. Have you call the roll, please?
Mr. Lancaster?
Yes.
Mr. Sowers?
Yes.
Ms. Pence?
Yes.
Mr. Vickers?
Yes.
Mr. Dolphin?
Yes.
Mr. Shepherd?
Yes.
Browns building leasing agreement, Mr. Hare?
Yes, sir. Our agreement with Bill Dudley and Associates to continue listing the Browns building technically expired June 8th, but Mr. Dudley has continued operating under the presumption that council will be readopting this agreement tonight. Councilwoman Pence had requested the opportunity for council to consider providing some funding to go towards additional advertising. That is provided to y'all as an alternate motion if council so considers after approving the agreement to continue working with Mr. Dudley.
On that note, what outlets would that differ from MLS and, on Zillow, all, the whole bit?
I'm not sure. I really haven't talked with Mr. Dudley. And again, it would, if any of the funding were to be spent, he'd have to come in and tell us where we wanted to advertise. I'm not sure specifically what types of markets, possibly DC or something along those lines.
Yeah, I actually talked with Mr. Dudley and Mr. Dudley, Will and Bill, and of course, we talked last week about maybe putting some money into the building. Are we gonna talk about that later, or? In other words, their opinion was we should put the $1,000 into facelifting the building rather than advertising.
Okay, then.
But I don't know if I'm getting ahead of myself or.
No, sir, we haven't. To be honest with you, we really have been pushed for just keeping up with everything else and haven't had time to get in to look at it. But if council would desire, the $1,000 could be by motion to rehabilitation of the Browns building rather than advertising.
That's a good idea. That's
Yeah,
what
that
I
was the
gonna say.
recommendation.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I
Okay.
also talked to Mr. Dudley and I asked him to put together a plan for advertisement if he wanted to request funds. That way we could better understand, because is $1,000 enough? I mean, 'cause it's at a certain point, it's like, it has to be X in order to get into these markets or it's not worth doing it at all. So in terms of moving forward with a separate budget for him for advertising, I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that without knowing what the plan is.
Well, likewise for rehabilitation, right? If there's some basic facelift stuff that we need to do, it'd be nice to know what that would mean and have a budget associated with it.
Well, from what I remember, he said not only just manpower cleaning the place up, but some painting, exterior. Anything we do under $1,000 to make it more sellable, I'm all for it.
Well, I think the items that I remember, we have a piece of plywood where one of the windows was
Right.
broken out, and looking to see if we could replace that with a piece of plexiglass. We haven't had time to come up with an estimate for that, but we can do that and come back to council at your August meeting with costs for those types of repairs.
I don't see why you can't just, if we approve some money to go to it, you can't just
We could.
staff it out and get somebody to start painting the thing or whatever.
Well, painting will probably not come in at $1,000 for the whole building. But
I'm
just,
trying to remember what Mr. Dudley said. It was more of, the upstairs was cleaned up fairly good, but the main floor was a mess.
it's not a mess, it's just lived in.
I mean, it's two separate things, actually. The marketing thing, I agree, we need to see a plan before we, but the improvements to the building itself, I'd like to see a list of what would be deemed appropriate to do and some kind of cost on it.
What type of upkeep or ongoing maintenance or costs do we have with the property currently?
Recurring is roof leaks. After major rains we've gone through, and the past few we haven't had any, because we did have the roofing contractor come in and do some rehab a month and a half, 2 months ago, and that seems to be holding up okay. And then Mr. Dudley had requested that we go in and clean up the second floor, and Lynn Matthews and his crew were able to get in and straighten it up. We didn't remove everything, we simply consolidated everything into one of the back rooms so that it does look, it presents well. The downstairs, it's dark, and I think, as I recall, the two items that I'm aware of were the window and then the one overhang of one of the entry doors needs a little bit of rehab as well.
We did initially, I know Brian did take a look at what it would take to paint the building, and it's several $1,000s. It's a big building. And
We're
that's,
just talking about the front of them. Are we talking about the whole building or just the front?
that's what we looked at.
Oh, okay. He did ask me to mention they've shown the property 4 times, I think, since our work session.
Anybody else have any questions for Mr. Burke? If not, what would council like to do?
Move the council approve the extension of the listing agreement with Bill Dudley and Associates Real Estates Incorporated to market and sell the Browns building located at 36 West Main Street for 90 days until September 6th, 2020, as presented.
Second that.
Motion, second, discussion. Danielle, call the roll, please.
Mr. Flowers?
Yes.
Ms. Pence?
Yes.
Mr. Vickers?
Yes.
Mr. Dolphin?
Yes.
Mr. Schauer?
Yes.
Mr. Lancaster?
Yes. Any Little League concession relief?
yes, sir. The town has received a request from the Luray Little League to waive the second quarter payment for the concession agreement that they have at Dean Park due to the fact that Little League has not been able to operate. We had put in a request seeing if they wanted to request the full year, and we've not heard back from them. We did get the request for the second quarter.
Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Burke on Little League?
Who's doing the maintenance over there now? We picked it up again since they're not having the league. I mean, are they doing the mowing? Was that our deal? They were gonna mow this year and all?
Mhm.
Are we back to doing that since they're not playing?
Well, I think on a limited scale, I think we did have to, we have a tournament, I think it was last weekend.
Yeah.
And so we did do some improvements there. The Little League did come in and put in some of the sponsor banners, so they may have also done some work with us.
I was over, I thought it looked very nice. Clean. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Burke on this?
I mean, do we want to go ahead and just approve it for the year versus the quarter? Because we keep making this motion, I think that,
They've
What?
canceled for the year.
yeah.
I think that's an option that we can do, is go ahead and cancel for the
How
year.
about the football league? Will they come back in the fall, possibly, or did they cancel their season? Or do we know?
We've not heard from them. We've not talked with them yet. No, sir. I don't know.
I mean, how would you all feel about that, just going ahead and canceling it?
Makes sense to me.
I'm fine. We don't have any choice. We just have.
Make a motion. Make a motion.
I move the council approve the waiver of all payments by the Little League for the Ralph Dean concession park agreement as, well, not
Have a motion.
pursuant to the
I
contract.
second that.
You second. Discussion? Danielle, would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Pence?
Yes.
Mr. Vickers?
Yes.
Mr. Dolphin?
Yes.
Mr. Schauer?
Yes.
Mr. Lancaster?
Yes.
Mr. Flowers?
Yes.
Relief loan fund application, page 1, Mr. Burke.
Yes, sir. Council had approved the town working with the Luray Downtown Initiative to put out an offering of COVID-19 relief loans, which is a part, well, basically is our CDBG downtown loan program. There was one application from page 1 for a $2,500 loan. It has been reviewed by the reviewing committee, and they have recommended council's consideration of approval of the loan.
Steve, is this the only one they've gotten?
Yes, ma'am. Only application.
Yeah.
I had a question on that. In part of the loan requirements, that it be a for-profit business?
I don't know offhand if that was a
Well, that's
requirement.
in the packet. I mean, if you look at the packet, revolving loan fund relief program, the fund guidelines, it must be an existing for-profit business within the designated geographic area. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think page 1 does a great job. It's just I don't want to jeopardize.
You're correct.
You're right.
I'm not so sure that this is an avenue to pursue to help them out.
Staff would request that y'all defer consideration, let us, give us time to confirm whether that is something that we can bring forward to y'all.
In agreement with that, understood? Okay, Lake Arrowhead Beach operations. Joe, look, you're on the agenda.
Yeah, you know what? I'm on the agenda to get up to speed.
Yeah.
I'm Joey Sowers, Fire Department.
State your address.
So I think it's been great this year having Lake Arrowhead at no cost. My wife goes out there quite a bit. We always get the annual subscription. I'm happy to continue paying that, but it's been unbelievable the response from visitors and the community, how much it's being used right now. So I like to see that keep going, at least for the duration of this year. We can reassess. I talked to Steve about it. I would even be open to keeping it swim at your own risk, no lifeguards, and you go to Virginia Beach. You don't have lifeguards around, so I'd like to first at least consider that option. I think Steve has mentioned, and as is on the pack, they're planning on bringing back the lifeguards on Thursday. So just wanted to bring that up for discussion.
And in discussion with Joey, if council elects to not go forward with the charge, our plan would be to have the lifeguards basically be considered attendants. We would continue the swim at your own risk. That way we aren't required to have 2 lifeguards present, so that we'll have someone there that can, during our normal hours, 11 to 6, so that we'll have someone that will be able to enforce more of the rules than we've been able to do. We've had sporadic coverage with staff and the police, and we believe that it would be appropriate for us, now that our lifeguards are certified, to have someone there during normal hours, regardless of whether we go forward with charging or not.
A few other reasons I think it's a good idea. In LDI, we talk about it quite a bit. It's finding a way to add one more day to a vacation. Someone comes for a weekend. How can you add that one more day to multiply out the revenue that's coming into our community? So we would be giving up, what, $3, $10 for a family to come in and perhaps get them to spend the night, eat at our restaurants, stay at our hotels. It's great for low-income people in our community. They can go and swim, have a free activity, and COVID doesn't spread too much in the sunshine. So,
Joey, has it been abused? I mean, has it been too many people ever? The times I've been there, people look like they're keeping distance and they're parking separate, they're not crowding up. I just didn't know if you've seen any of that.
I'm not the expert, but in my personal experience, it's been that people are trying to keep their distance. It gets pretty full though.
All right, that
And
makes me feel better.
people are doing what they can, but
You know, not to put you on the spot, Joe, you have any idea what the line item is on? I mean, what kind of budgetary cost?
no, I wanted to actually hope to get that information tonight.
Well, if we, our plan again was to restart charging this Thursday. The season only runs another 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So we would estimate we generate maybe $10,000 to $15,000. Again, with 100 to 150 people there each of those days. So if we go to a single attendant, it cuts our cost in half. So that was our effort to try and mitigate some of the expense. If we had to have 2 lifeguards there, we do incur a good bit of money, and that's why if we had the lifeguards, we would want to be charging the entrance fee. If council desires to have no fee for the rest of the season, we would again go back to the attendant. It would half our expense for staffing.
So what is the expense? That was the other.
So
Ballpark.
the math on that, I just did the math. So $15 an hour times 40 hours times 2 people, 7,200 for 6 weeks.
So
it's
3,500.
Still profit, but it's small.
But
I
if
have
you're not
a-
charging anything, 0 from 0 is 0. You're gonna make nothing. And if we charge a little something and have a snack bar open, you can sell snacks and sodas, and everybody that swims gets hungry. And I'm surprised that our insurance company would say, hey, that's okay to go ahead and do that. Swim at your own risk. When we're responsible for it, I'm just surprised.
Well, again, as Councilman Sowers mentioned, as long as you put the appropriate signage up, that there are no lifeguards on duty, and you have to swim at your own risk. The individuals that visit the beach assume that risk. Now, again, if something happened, could they sue you? Yes. Could they sue us if the lifeguard was present? Yes.
But the probabilities are dramatically decreased if we got a certified lifeguard there. It's made an attempt to help save somebody.
Yes, sir. But again, if we had the attendant there, they could still operate as a lifeguard. It's just that we would not.
It's a lifeguard.
Pardon?
The attendant is a lifeguard, right?
That they're lifeguard certified. Yes, sir.
With that attendant probably is selling popcorn and potato chips and can't even swim. So how can they be a lifeguard?
I'm sorry?
I said that the attendant that's selling sodas and popcorn and ice cream and they can't swim, how can they be a lifeguard?
Well, no, the folks that we usually have there are all certified. Effectively what we would be doing would be taking off the red shirt and just putting on a green shirt. And instead of calling them a lifeguard, we would be calling them attendant, but they are a certified lifeguard. We just wouldn't be advertising that as, it would still be swim at your own risk, but we would have an attendant there that should something happen, they could respond.
I was up there at 8 o'clock yesterday evening and there was 15 cars and vans there. I bet it was 75 people. I never seen too many people.
So what's the cost to get in, Steve? I mean,
$3 to $5. Adults is $5. Young children, $3.
What's isn't there like a family pass you can buy, like an annual pass?
There is. We've not sold any this season, but
But you think about that, so especially for a low-income family, you have 3 kids, look at what your cost is now. 3 kids and 2 adults, you're in $19.
yeah, but you have to remember too, Joe, that goes back into the general fund and
Sure.
comes out of tax dollars.
It does.
I mean,
It's
so
not
you're paying
understood.
for it one way, I mean, it's the old thing, do you wanna pay for it with taxes, or do you wanna pay for it with a user fee?
Understood.
The user fee,
But then we
The
don't
user
have an
fees paid
entry,
by the people
but there's not an
using it.
entry fee to enter like Arrowhead Park.
no, I know,
Right.
but I'm just
So-
saying that the user fee is paid by the people that are using the amenity.
Right.
The tax, we all have to pay taxes. If we take $15,000 out of the operating revenues to cover that, everybody pays for that. That's the only thing I'm saying.
Sure, and that's a valid point. I didn't know what the cost structure was or how that would all work out. On the other hand, that's the only park amenity apart from the shelters that have a fee
Yeah,
associated
and
with them, right?
probably at least 50% of them are county residents.
Probably. Yeah,
They're not
100%.
paying anything,
Sure.
so they wouldn't be paying anything.
I just have a concern with not charging anything. We seem to be getting these huge crowds up there on weekends, and I'm not sure we're forcing out our residents that they can't use it. And I think who knows, but I think one of the reasons we're getting these large crowds is, or it's getting around, it's free.
Yeah, it's on the internet.
It's,
Let me ask some basic questions, some logistical questions. So with COVID, I know that's affected the ability for people to get licensed. So how many lifeguards were you able to obtain, and do we have enough to keep 2?
With our assistant superintendent, we have 6 certified staff.
Okay. And is
And-
that enough to operate?
Yes, we were able to, Morgan has set up the schedule for the remaining 6 weeks to have the coverage necessary to have lifeguards there.
Having been a lifeguard myself for a long time during high school, I can tell you that it's probably not a good idea to have them as somebody who's an attendant and also a lifeguard, just because your attention is drawn to many things. So it's either you're just gonna pay them whatever you would pay an attendant, or you're gonna have them as a lifeguard, but I think having them as both would not be a reasonable solution.
Well, we typically do operate, the folks that collect your money or sell from the snack stand are our lifeguards. Usually the only people that are at the beach that are working for the town are certified.
And so how many eyes, there should always be 2 eyes on the water at all times according to lifeguard standards, so does that not happen at the Lake Arrowhead?
Well, we have one primary, and then the one that's taking money that also can respond if the primary does alert to an incident.
Then they cycle off, correct?
And yes, and then there are times where we also have a third to facilitate some of the transition during the heavier times.
We actually selling snacks right at it.
We aren't planning to do that, no.
We're not doing that right now.
No, the intent was to basically just, and again, the problem that we have is that we have an uninsulated building that the refrigeration system historically
Costs more than the drinks, I bet.
Well, the repairs, and we typically wind up having to go through 2 or 3 repairs per season of the refrigeration.
Well, it's my opinion that if we've only got 6 weeks to go, and we've been doing what we've been doing up to this point, it seems a shame to change mid-stride. I don't think we're losing that much by foregoing the fee for the last 6 weeks. I don't want to hire more lifeguards. I guess I can be.
Well, we've already hired.
I mean, but have more scheduled. I guess I can be happy with swimming at your own risk. I just hate to take away that opportunity for people in this uncertain world a chance to get out of the heat. I'm all for leaving no fees.
You don't need many free rides in the world.
Oh, I know, and I think this is one that we can afford.
Maybe.
So
We'll find out at the end of the year.
Yeah, Mr. Vickers and Mr. Showers, I respectfully disagree. I think that low SCS families have a hard time always having access to things like swim education. And I think that, you know, especially with COVID and people out of school for so long, families want to go and do things. And I think having lifeguards there is essential to the safety of our community outside of outside of the legal liability, just in terms of a responsibility to our citizens.
When I was a kid, we used to be able to go to the Woodland Park, I think about 50 cents. And we were too poor to stand to attention. But we always found 50 cents to go swimming. And you can find the money. I mean, it's not that much. It's not gonna break the bank. Anybody who wants to go and don't have the money, talk to them. Might be able to
It
help.
doesn't bother me if we choose not to charge, but I think that having the lifeguards there is really important. And I don't think that charging is gonna deter anybody considering the cost is so reasonable.
We're the cheapest county around that touches Page.
So Steve, so I understand, with the lifeguards for the remainder of this fiscal year, of this year, this season, we would lose 15,000, is that what you're saying?
No, I think Ms. Pence estimated it about 7,000 or 8,000. I apologize, I don't have those.
In fees,
Oh, in fees, yes, sir.
On the revenue side.
Yes, sir. We would anticipate that we would generate $10,000 to $15,000.
that's a lot of money. Yeah.
You might wish you had that next year when it comes into the budget.
And again, I not that I'm not being I'm not, well, I guess, but the fact of the matter is that, again, probably 50% of the people up there using it are county residents. And it's not gonna, we're gonna have to absorb it into the general fund revenues. And that won't affect them because they don't pay town taxes. It's gonna affect all the other taxpayers in the county.
Yeah, I'm with you. I didn't know the budgetary impact, but again, that is also partly the point, in my opinion, is finding that way to extend people's stays an extra day, whether it's through this or some other means. I'd love for us as a council to find ways where we can facilitate adding,
I agree with that.
you know,
No,
helping to create a little bit longer vacation,
But I
or
don't
bringing
think the
people in from the
using that
community.
are tourists necessarily.
They're day trippers.
A lot. Go up and drive up there on the weekend. You'll see a lot of
I was
out-of-state
really
plates.
surprised on Sunday.
Yeah.
I talked to a few different groups and they were not Page County residents.
I never met one yet so far.
Well,
You what?
I never met one of our guests in Page County.
It's been Page County.
I
Yeah.
looked at all of them yesterday and talked to several, and not one was in Page County. Because I asked them, I said, maybe I can find out if there's internet.
Bo, if I
Really?
Drunk
might,
here last year.
just every time I go by there, it's packed. Are you all having to respond to a lot more service calls out there?
Not as far as just maybe rule violations, but as far as, looks like everybody's governing themselves as far as social distancing. But, and this hasn't been any fights or anything like that.
Okay, what's council want to do?
Without knowing the full financial impact, I wouldn't run. I'll table that. Could I get that information for our next meeting, though, work session?
Yes, sir.
So we can have a full picture of that. And it's something I'd like for us to consider how we could either do this, or again, something like it, where it's creating opportunities for people in our community and also bringing people in. You know, and that's really the driving force for me. But yeah, if we get that in the work session, I'd appreciate it.
Council agree with that? Yeah. Okay. CARE Act funding update, Mr. Burke.
Yes, sir. We just wanted to report back to council that the total amount of incurred costs that I believe we have submitted that to the county, Danielle?
Yes.
$11,282.01. We've also ordered a replacement vehicle for our police department. And then today we actually got the first generalized cost to do the new video equipment in this room to the tune of about $10,000. So it's about half of what we had estimated. We are in the process of coming up with additional items that we had presented to council, but we wanted to just keep you all aware of what we have, what we've asked for the county, as well as other items that we're in the process of ordering.
And again, the county's pretty confident we'll be reimbursed on these.
The police vehicle, we definitely got
We're
a.
going directly through the actual site too, or,
Yeah.
you know.
They were.
State purchasing agent.
Yeah, and we're actually, Amity said it's good, but we're also going to the actual, people.
But I mean, if the CARES funding will be approved at the federal level.
I'll make sure before I buy it.
And Steve, at the next work session, could we have the TOT and meals tax update, because we were trying to track them?
Yeah, it should be here on the 20th, so yes, we could definitely include that.
Mr. Attorney, do you have any wisdom for us?
I don't have anything. I will say it's good to be back in person this morning.
Good to see you. I don't have any announcements, so let's take a 5-minute recess. We'll come back and go into executive session.
Thanks, Steve.
I was already listening to you speak.
Well, I couldn't, I couldn't take your room. That's a wonderful presentation. What it looked like before. Speedo on, yeah, that would get the crowd going.
All right, I'll take a motion to go into executive session.
Second.
Second, discussion? No? Daniel, would you call the roll now?
Mr. Vickers?
Yes.
Mr. Goffmeyer?
Yes.
Mr. Shower?
Yes.
Mr. Lancaster?
Yes.
Pardon me, Mr. Mayor, would you mind specifying the exemption and the purpose for the closed session as an amendment to the motion before you call the vote?
It just says consultation with legal counsel.
No, I'll move the town council convene and go into closed session for the purpose of consultation with legal counsel employed or retained by a public body regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel as authorized by section 2.2-3711A8 of the Code of Virginia. The subjects of the closed meeting are the East End and West End Confederate monuments located within the town of Luray.
I knew I'd get something out of you. Now, Daniel, would you call the roll?
We need a second.
Second.
Yeah.
Mr. Vickers?
Yes.
Mr. Goffmeyer?
Yes.
Mr. Shower?
Yes.
Mr. Lancaster?
Yes.
Mr. Sowers?
Yes.
Ms. Pence? Yes.
For people, it's all close.
Thank you for coming back. We'll holler at you again.
The age of, yeah, you can get AARP membership tomorrow.
Yep.
So you qualify.
Okay, I'll take a motion that we close the executive session, go back into open session.
I move the closed session be adjourned, the Luray Town Council reconvene in open session.
Motion,
Second.
second discussion. And now we call the roll.
Mr. Vickers?
Yes.
Mr. Goffmeyer?
Yes.
Mr. Shower?
Yes.
Mr. Lancaster?
Yes.
Mr. Sowers?
Yes.
Ms. Pence?
Yes.
I don't have anything else.
Well, I move we need to
Yeah,
I move that with respect to the just completed closed session and to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened, were heard, discussed, or considered in the meeting by the town council.
Second.
Okay. Motion, second, Daniel, you call the roll.
Mayor Questrice?
Yes.
Mr. Vickers?
Yes.
Mr. Goffmeyer?
Yes.
Mr. Shower?
Yes.
Mr. Lancaster?
Yes.
Mr. Sowers?
Yes.
Ms. Pence?
Yes.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.